Om Sam Saraswati Namaha. Namaste. Namaste, everyone. We're going to begin the recitation of Chapter 7. Please join us. Himalaya Vacha Yogam Badaba Kesani Sangang Sangit Pradayakam Kritena Jina Yogyoham Pavayam Tatpadashane Sri Devi Vacha Na Yoga Namasa Prishte Na Bomo Nalasatale Ekyam Jivatma No Rahur Yogam Yoga Visaradam Tat Pratyahara Prastadakyatam Yoga Vigna Karanakam Kama Krodo Lobha Moha Mada Matsarya Sangyako Yoga Gir Reva Pitwatan Yogi no Yoga Mapnuyo Yama Niyama Asanam Pranayama Tataparam Pratyaharam Dharanakyam Dhyana and Samadhi Ashtanga Yakurtaitani Yogina Yoga Sadhane Ahimsa Satyamasteyam Brahmacharyam Daryarjavan Shamadriti Mitihara So chanteti Yamadasham Tapasantosha Astigyam Dhanam Divasya Pujanam Sadansa Sravanarazanam Cheva Hirim Matischa Japotam Dashite Niyama Prokda Maya Parvatanayakam Padmasanam Swastikam Cham Badrasanam Tatam Virasanam Iti Proktam Pramadasana Cham Panchakam Urvaru Parindinyasyan Samya Padatale Sive Angushtacha Vibhatnikad Tastavyam Vyukru Etramattatam Padmasanam Iti Proktam Yogina Ridakyangabam Chanur Paurantare Samyak Prishtva Padatale Shivae Riju Kamo Vasilyogi Swastitanta Pachakshate Sivanya Pashpako Yasyam Guvayugman Sanishtitam Prishanada Pada Pashno Pada Nivyam Paripandagit Padrasanam Iti Proktam Yogivi Paripujitam Uvo Pado Pramanyasyam Chanbo Pratyangam Bhutanguli Karo Vaivajadakyatam Vajrasanam Namuttamam Ekam Padamada Prikvam Pinyayo Rum Tatotare Rijukai Hovisid Yogi Virasanam Irtiritam Iraja Shakyo Bhayum Bhayam Shurasamatratam Darake Puritam Yogi Chatushashtya tu matrayam Shushudam Nadyam Gantam Yag Dvatring Shamatra Kasane Nadya Pingalaka Chevam Richayid Yoga Vitama Pranayama Mimang Prakur Yoga Shastra Vistaradam Puyoga Kramatasya Pahyame Balsamatre Matra Bridi Kamineba Samyadva Dasha Shorasham Japadana Divi Sardam Sagarbam Tam Vidur Buddha Dadapedam Vikavancha Pranayam Pare Pradvidu Kramadabhya Siyata Punso Desvedo Tamo Dudama Madhyama Kampayam Yukto Umityaga Paromatam Uttamasya Kunavandir Yavachiyam Lanam Mishyate Indriyadam Vicharantam Vishayeshu Niragalam Balada Harinam Devyam Pyataru Vidiyate Angushta Gopajan Ruru Muladara Lingam Nabishu Ridgram agriba kanta deseshu Lambikayam tatonase Brumadye mastake murtni Godashante yatabide Dharanam pranamaruto Dhariti nikadyate Samagite namanasta Tetanya dataripartite das Atmanya pishta devanam Dhyanam dhyanita moche hochyate Samatva gababdam nityam Jivatma paramatmano Samadhi makurmunaya Proktamashtam galakshanam Idani katyayeteyam Mantrayogma gamaduttamam Vishwan shariram bhutyaham Panchabhutatmakam nagam Chandasuryagnite tejebir Jiva brahmayika rupakam Tri srato srata dardena Shirirena dayomatam Tasu mukya dashapoktas Tavyasti sro babastitam Pradana me rutandetram Chanda suryagni rupini Irabame stitanari Shubratu chandrupini Sakti rupatu sanhari Sakshat amrita vigraha Dachineya pingalakya Pumrupa surya vigraha Sarvati jomaki satu Shushunad bani rupini Tasyama devi chitrakye Ichayana priyatmakam Madhye svayam dulingantu Koti suryasma prabham Tadurdva maya bijantu Haratma bindu nadakam Tadurdvantu shi vishikakaram Kundali ratvigram Devyatmika tu sapokta Badni dabina nagadipa We've already covered a lot of material, so let's go back and translate and discuss it for a few minutes. And if we have time, we'll go on in the text. Back to the beginning of chapter 7. Himalaya said, this is Himalaya's asking the Divine Mother, please instruct me in the practice of yoga, O great Supreme Goddess, along with all its limbs, and bestow upon me the fullest knowledge by means of which I can attain union and realization of the universal principle. That ultimate tattva, that supreme wisdom, the principle of supreme divinity, I want to realize through uniting my little self with my big self. This Atma with the Paramatma. This individual jiva, this individual soul with the supreme soul of all. And the goddess said, neither does yoga exist in the sky, nor below on the earth, nor even in the nether regions below the earth. It doesn't have a geographical location. Those conversant with yoga know yoga to be the complete unity of the individual soul with its desired objective, the Supreme Soul. There are 6 enemies which cause obstacles in the path of union: desire, anger, greed, ignorance, conceit, and jealousy. Kam, krodh, lobh, moh, moda, matsarya. These are the 6 enemies of union. Destroying these enemies by the limbs of yoga, Ashtanga yoga, all 8 steps, the 8 limbs of yoga will be the path by which we destroy these enemies. Destroying these enemies by the limbs of yoga, the yogis attain to union, and nobody skips a step. You don't jump. By using all these steps, and they're going to tell us how to use them. The limbs of yoga are Yama, Control your life by organizing and defining your goals and priorities. Niyama. Create a discipline for their attainment. Got to budget your time, budget your space, budget your mind, budget your resources. Asana. Put your body into harmony. Make it sit still in harmony and balance so it doesn't have to dance all around. Pranayama. Put your breath in harmony. And then beyond, Pratyahara. Bring your senses inside. Stop looking outside and remember what you saw and bring it inside. And look at the subtle image. Leave the gross body. Dharana. Contemplation on three. There's a subject, the perceiver. There's an object, the perceived. And there's a relationship between the two of us. I love you. Dharana. Dhyana is meditation, and that's on two. There's a subject and an object. The relationship is so intense. It's intensely understood. It doesn't admit a name. I and you. And Samadhi, the perfection of union. There's only one. And it could be either way, it's all you. Or it could be, it's all me. Because I and you are one and only the one exists. These are the 8 limbs of yoga by which yogis perform the disciplined practice to attain to union, yoga sadhana. This is the sadhana of yoga. Organize your life, define your goals, make a hierarchy of your priorities. Then make a budget, make a niyam, make a yam niyam, make a discipline. Then asana, organize your workspace. This is the job that we're doing. Organize your body so that it's comfortable, in harmony, in balance, and ready to do the work before it. Bring your breath into harmony, because our intercourse is bringing the world inside and bringing the divinity out. Pranayama, Pratyahara, bring the senses inside. Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. Sa means all. Ma means the measurement. Dhi means the mind. All is the measurement of the mind. There's no limit. Or the measurement of the mind is all. Or the mind measures all. Samadhi. There's no limitation. These are the 8 limbs of yoga by which yogis perform the disciplined practice to attain to union, and that's called yoga sadhana. Ahimsa, causing no harm to others. Satya, truthfulness. Asteyam, not coveting things of the world. Give up our covetous nature. I got to have one of those and one of those. Brahmachari literally means sacred study, but also it means who moves with God. Jisko brahmakasacharate hai, wahi brahmachari, who moves with God, who moves in God. Now, it generally pertains to students who are learning how to make their contribution in the world, because brahmacharya is one of the 4 ashrams, of the 4 stages of the human life. There's brahmacharya, who learns how to make a contribution to life, usually the younger years. Second ashram is grihastha. Griha avastha iti grihastha, who sits under a roof. is a householder. And sannyasis, in the purest sense, stay under one roof for 3 days. And then they leave that roof for another shelter because they don't want to cultivate attachment. Banaprastha, who resides in the forest. Literally, it means you got 1 foot in the house and 1 foot outside the house. And you generally, especially in the old school, you gave management of the affairs of the household to the oldest son, who managed the estate on behalf of the entire family, and you went away, you came back, oh, it's still there, they're still in business, okay. You go away a little farther and come back and everything's fine. You go a little farther and one day, of its own accord, you become sannyas, who is established in truth, who has established truth within. Sannyas. Those are the 4 ashrams. And since the brahmacharis were students and the grahasthas were married householders, then they somehow attached the idea of celibacy to brahmacharya. But that's one of the smallest parts of brahmacharya. Because brahmacharya means moving with God. And when you're moving with God, you have the discrimination to understand pavitro ba, sarva bastangato ba, which is impure and which is pure. And then the celibacy doesn't become a discipline of life. Celibacy becomes a fact of life. So it's no longer an issue that I'm practicing to abstain from the desire that's attracting me. Just doesn't enter into your mind. If you're moving with God, then it's all divine. If it comes, it comes. If it goes, it goes. But it's not a discipline of our lives. So here, brahmacharya, sacred study, learning how to be an effective tool in the hands of God. Daya, compassion. Arjabam, the purification of knowledge. And in ancient India, all the wives called their husbands Arja. You who have been purified by knowledge. They all called their husbands Swami. You are the Swami. You are my own perfect self. You represent the perfection to me. You are the example that I wish to be like. Kshama, forgiveness. Dhriti, constancy or firmness. In other words, when we take a sankalpa, we pray for dhriti. It's different from hat, stubbornness. Dhriti is perseverance. Fulfillment of the objective of our sankalpa. Dhriti. Mitahara, controlling your diet. Eating according to budget. And putting a lock on the refrigerator at all other times. And soch, maintaining internal and external cleanliness. These are recognized as the 10 aspects of jhana. These are what it means to create a discipline, a definition for our lives. This is the definition. I want a lifestyle, a spiritual lifestyle, which allows that I don't cause harm to others, which allows me to be truthful, which saves me from coveting things from the world, which allows me to continually study and learn and come closer to God and walk with God, which allows me to be compassionate, allows me to purify myself and my environment by the pursuit of knowledge, which allows me to forgive others and forgive myself, my shortcomings. It gives me consistency, constancy, firmness in my sankalpa. It allows me to eat as appropriate for my circumstances, and it gives me internal and external cleanliness. These are the 10 aspects of Yam. This is the definition of spiritual life. Now, let's create a discipline. Niyama. Tapasya. Purifying austerities. Remember, every vibration creates friction. All friction creates heat. Tapas means generating heat. Every vibration in the universe in existence is creating heat. Every movement, every vibration, every word, every thought is tapasya. Tapasya deva devato argoayam taposhi sharvam pratishtitam tasmat tapa sreshta. Tapasya deva devato argoayam, and from tapasya originally all of the gods became divine. Taposhi, within tapasya resides entire sarvam pratishtita, everything created. That's not, therefore, tapaha, do your tapasya, do your form of tapasya, and you'll realize the ultimate. So here, purifying austerities and perceiving all action as a purifying austerity. Everything we do is part of that purifying austerity. Santosh, contentment. Astikya, the continuous pursuit of self-realization. It's not a hobby. It's not something I do on weekends. I am not a Sunday churchgoer. I live my religion. I live my tapasya. The continuous, relentless pursuit of self-realization. Dhan, giving to others. And that doesn't just mean things, but sometimes even leading in puja or sharing knowledge or just giving. Devasya pujanam, worship of the gods. Siddhanta shravanam, listening to the scriptures like we're doing tonight. This is good stuff. Hri, modesty. Mati, devotion in prayer. Japa, reciting the mantras. Huta, homa, or offering to the sacred fire, are the 10 aspects described as niyam. So this is the discipline that we want to create in order to achieve our yam. Our discipline will consist of austerities, maintaining santosh with everything, being content in every situation, pursuing sincerely, continuously, self-realization and wisdom, giving to others, worshiping the gods, listening to the scriptures, being modest about it, being devoted in our worship, reciting mantras, and sitting by the sacred fire whenever we get the opportunity. These are the 10 aspects of niyam. Now, niyam, the next one is asana, and we assume that we are pursuing the goals of yam and niyam, meaning we are continuously pursuing the pursuit of self-realization. Padmasana, the lotus posture. You know that. Oh, they'll describe it later. I'll show you afterwards. Swastik asana. It's called the excellent attainment posture. It's also called siddhasana. Bhadrasana, Bhadrasana, and Virasana. The excellent posture, the diamond posture, and the hero posture. These are the 5 kinds of postures that are recommended. Now, placing the feet with the soles showing on the opposite thighs. Placing the feet with the soles showing on the opposite thighs, crossing the legs with the right foot and the right foot on the left thigh, and the left foot on the right thigh, and catching by the right hand brought around the back, the toes of the right foot, and catching by the left hand brought around the back, the toes of the left foot, then sitting straight with ease. This is called Padmasana, which is beloved by yogis. And note, According to others, it's not necessary for the hands to be carried around the back to grab their respective toes. I haven't practiced it in a long time, and my middle is a little too wide in order to get around. Both of the hands may be crossed and placed in the lap. Place the feet on the inner side of the knees with the soles facing upwards. This is one that I use most frequently. For the attainment of truth by certain yogis, this is known as swastik asana. So the soles go on the inner side of the knees, and the toes come up. For the attainment of truth by certain yogis, this is known as the swastik asana. Now, the left heel goes to the Muladhara, and you'll have a straight line from the Sahasrara through the Shushumna, piercing all the 7 chakras. That line, that staff, if you poke a stick right down the center, it would come out through the Muladhara, right between the anus and the genital, and it would go right into the heel of the left foot. And this is known as the swastik asana, sometimes called siddha asana. Very, very, very sukshma, very, very minor differences between the name swastikasana and siddhasana. Facing the heels of the feet firmly together below the genital near the anus, and binding the sides of the feet together below the genital is known as bhadrasana, which is very much venerated by the yogis. So here you put the heels into the Muladhara, and you touch the soles of the feet, go together, and you put your knees on the ground and sit comfortably. This is Bhadrasana, which is very much venerated by the yogis. Placing both the thighs above the legs according to instructions. And the instructions are, the thighs go above the legs. Sitting on the shanks with the toes extended back is known as the excellent Vajrasana. Place one foot back with the knee bent. Then cross the other over the thigh, across the other thigh over the opposite way, knee over knee. For the attainment of truth by certain yogis, this is known as Virasana. So we have the 2 knees, one over each other with the 2 feet back. And these are the 5 asanas which are recommended for meditation and for japa, for going inside deeper and deeper. However, for puja, only the Padmasana and the Swastikasana are acceptable to do an entire padoti. You won't be able to sit for an entire padoti without moving in the other 3 asanas. Inhale the air through the ira, which is the left nostril, to the count of 16 times. So, you close the right nostril, and count 16 times as you inhale through the ira. The yogi will retain that breath within the Shushumna while saying the mantra to the count of 64 times. So it's 16, 64, 32, or 1, 4, 2 is the ratio. This is classic pranayama. Then you retain the breath within the Shushumna while saying the mantra to the count of 64 times. And if you want, you can close both nostrils. So you count 16 times. And then count the mantra 32 times while exhaling through the pingala, the right nostril, which is the process called Rechak by knowers of yoga. So the first process, the inhalation through the ira, is purak. The second process is called retention, is the kumbhak. And the third exhalation is called Rechak. This is called pranayama by the knowers of yoga practices. Now, it's not necessary to do alternate nostril breathing or to hold your nose unless you're sitting next to me and you want to hold your nose for other reasons. Otherwise, you can breathe normally. Let's use together the formula 1-4-2. And let's use the mantra Om Namah Shivaya. Now remember, all of our counting is by mantra. So in order to maintain the equilibrium of or the balance of your pranayama formula, you count by the number of syllables in the mantra. Om Namah Shivaya is called Panchakshar mantra. They don't count the Om syllable. So let's everybody breathe in. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Purak is 1 count. Kumbhak is 4 counts. Rechak is 2 mantras. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. This is called pranayama by the knowers of yoga practices. Thus, one should breathe again and again according to the instructions of pranayama. Change the rhythm of control from 12 times to 16. So now you can up the ante a little bit. Instead of 1-4-2, you can do 2-8-4. Change the numbers of your ratio. Combined with japa of mantra and dhyana of the deity, etc., this practice is known as sagarbha, pregnant. It is known as bigarbha, an empty womb, when pranayama is performed without mantra. So in order to maintain the consistency of the mantra, we are going to practice sagarbha. Sabagarbha pranayama by focusing on the deity, reciting the mantra of the deity, and maintaining the meditation of the deity. This is sagarbha. And when we merge into the deity, the mantra becomes making japa of us rather than we making japa of the mantra. And we merge into the deity and it becomes bigarbha of its own accord. When practiced according to instruction in the lowest stages, a man's body, a woman's too, becomes drenched with sweat. In the middle stages, it shakes and trembles, and in the highest stage, it leaves the ground and rises up into the air. Until one attains the highest quality, practice should be continued. The senses move towards various objects of attention without restraint. The power to withdraw the senses from those objects is thought of as Pratyahara. So here, now, every time we look outside, our senses are out there. And we see it once, we think about it again and again and again. So, now the power to withdraw those senses is called Pratyahara. Bring it inside. Toes and heels, knees and thighs, the space between the genital and the anus, genital, navel, heart, neck, throat, uvula, nose, between the eyebrows, on the top of the head, at these 12 places according to the system, supporting the prana marut, the life force or wind, on these 12 places is called Dharana. So here now we're going to move this sensation. It's what the Buddhist meditation calls vipassana. We're taking the sensation from toes and heels and knees and thighs and moving it through the space between the genital and the anus right into the Muladhara, all the way up through the navel, the heart, the neck, the throat, the uvula, the nose, between the eyebrows and the top of the head. We're bringing up this sensation, just feeling it flow through us. This is our contemplation. We're moving the mantra. The mantra is moving through our system, and we take it from the toe all the way up the leg, and from this toe all the way up the leg, and we bring it all the way up the Shushumna, and it pierces each chakra. It goes right through the Agya chakra. You can feel it in the top of your head, and your body is not big enough to contain the amount of love that you have for God. It just pops out the top, and you look down on that body and say, "Oh, I was once thinking I was limited by that." And now this, taking this pranayama, this life force, and carrying it right through these places and following that sensation, that mantra is coming along with the prana. And that's our Dharana. We've taken our senses inside. We took all the pictures from outside inside. We took all that energy and put it into one light, one radiant light, one breath of life, one mantra. And with that mantra, we're moving it right through our body. That's our contemplation. Put the mind in equilibrium and allow consciousness to rest within. Let the soul meditate, Dhyana, upon the Ishtadeva, the chosen deity, that's our mom, and continually observe in meditation, there you are and here I am, and what's between us but love. Mom wrote a song about that, but for love, why is there life? But for love, what is death? It's just because of our love that we are here. And that's our meditation. Always maintain the attitude of unity between the individual soul and the Supreme Soul. This is known by the wise men as Samadhi. Where do you leave off and I begin? Or where do I leave off and you begin? With its various definitions. Of course, there's Bhav Samadhi, and there's Savikalpa Samadhi, and there's Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And in Bhav Samadhi, there are two aspects of Samadhi. There's Salokya. We're in the same paradigm of reality together. We're in the same space. We're in the same loka. And Samipya, we're doing the same karma. Mom, you're standing there blessing the worlds, and I'm sitting here blessing the worlds. And you're looking at me and I'm looking at you. And we're with Salokya in the same level of interaction, the same paradigm of relationship, and we're doing the same karma. And in Savikalpa Samadhi, we leave the bhav and the interaction becomes more subtle. So subtle we can't describe it in words. I am, you are. And there are two aspects of our Savikalpa Samadhi, Salokya Samipya. Sarupa, just as your form is, I'm looking the same way. I'm looking in the mirror. Which one of us is the reality and which one of us is the reflection? Sarupya, with form, and Sadrishya, with perception. I am perceiving you as you are perceiving me, and we're both looking at each other. Here's looking at you. And in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, there is only one aspect called Sayuj, with union. It's the ultimate, the apex of union, and there's only one of us. I vote for you. Thus, I have described to you the excellent mantra yoga. This is mantra yoga. Without mantra, there is no yoga. Chitta vritti nirodhiti yoga. And how do you achieve that yoga? How do you achieve the cessation of prohibition of all changes and modifications in the objects of awareness? By mantra. When all minds are absorbed in mantra. Samani bhata kutiki samana hridayani bhaha. When all minds are absorbed in mantra, then by means of mantra, all thoughts become oblations to the divine fire. The body of the universe is composed of the unity of the 5 essential elements, O mountain, Shiti, Ap, Tej, Morupon. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. The lights of the moon, the sun, fire, and the individual soul are one. They're all one light. They are the form of the Supreme Divinity. There are 30 million naris, both subtle and gross avenues of circulation in the body of humans. Of these, 10 are most important. And of the 10, 3 will be accommodated in our discussion. Okay. Of the 30 million naris in our bodies, both gross, like a vein, you can see it, and subtle, like the meridian, you can't see it. You know it's there. Of these, 10 are very important. Now, of the 10, we're going to talk about 3. The foremost is the Merudanda, situated in the center of the spinal cord, in the form of the moon, the sun, and fire. On the left side is situated the Iranari, brightly shining like the form of the moon. This nari is the form of energy, and it is the actual purveyor of nectar, the bliss of immortality. On the right side is the Pingala. The Pingala nari, which is of masculine gender, the avenue of the sun. The manifestation of all light, the Sushumna, the channel which houses both the Ira and Pingala, is of the form of fire, which resides the various energies, Icha, Jnana, and Kriya, desire, knowledge, and action. So here we have the Sushumna, in which there is the Ira and Pingala, these two naris that go back and forth like the intertwining snakes around over the snake of good health. Over the sword of good health. There are two snakes. If you imagine that sword represents within which they are they are within the Sushumna. Now, in this Sushumna is Icha, Kriya, Jnana, Shakti, the threes. All the threes. In the middle is the Bhulinga, the subtle existence, shining like 10 million suns. Above that is the Maya Bija Hrim, Haratma, the soul of the Supreme with the Bindu. That's on his part, perfecting the sound. Above that, at its summit, is the Kundalini energy of the red color. This is known as the supreme soul of the goddess, not different from me, O king of mountains. So here we have in the Muladhara, the Kundalini energy of red color, the supreme soul of the goddess, who is one with the goddess. And she is there in the Bhulingam, in the subtle existence, shining like 10 million suns with the Maya Bija Hrim, and the soul of the Supreme, the Haratma Anuswar. And let's stop right here because we could go on and not have time for questions. So let's take any questions that have arisen so far. Please.
Swamiji, I have a question related to the previous chapter and also this chapter on Pranayama.
Yes.
In verse 45 of the previous chapter, the goddess says to Himalaya to make the inflowing breath equal to the outflowing breath and destroy all movement within, and offer attention only to that which is changeless. So my question, Swamiji, is that in this verse, the goddess says that we make the in-breath and the out-breath equal, but later on in the next chapter, she says that the out-breath should be 2 units and in-breath should be 1 unit and the retention should be 4 units. So is the prescription here that there should be no retention?
There are various forms of pranayama, various formulas for performing pranayama according to the various functions that will you be using it for. There is one function, so, hum. So, hum. This is one form of pranayama to put ourselves in a state of relaxation and bring our attention and our awareness inside. In the present chapter, we're talking about the various forms of pranayama as bringing the breath in a 1-4-2 ratio. Now, when we chant the chanted, we breathe in 1 repetition of the Dharana mantra. And we have a short retention, and then we exhale 2 repetitions of the text. This is another formula. So there is not only one formula for pranayama, your guru will teach you the various formulas. Now, if you want to learn from me, you'll learn for meditation, you'll use 1-4-2. Or any multiple thereof, depending on the length of the mantra that you use. If for relaxation and contemplation, you'll use equal in, equal out. For recitation, you'll use your mula mantra of the text or your diksha mantra, whichever comes first, and use that as the inhalation. And then the retention will automatically regulate itself if you pronounce the same number of mantras, the same number of verses on the exhalation. So those are 3 different practices of pranayama.
Sorry, I have one more question.
Please.
She also says, offer attention only to that which is changeless. Now,
Yes.
All the objects in the universe which are potential objects for our attention are going to change. So how is it possible that there is any object which is changeless that we can focus on?
Well, let's focus on the changeless in the here and now. My mom's not changing. I change, but she's always there for me. I know that somebody in the future may change her, or cause her to change, or she may, of her own accord, change. But so far for me, she is so consistent. She's always there. I come here in the morning, she gives me a blessing. I come here in the night, she's still there giving a blessing. I come in the middle of the night, she never closes her eyes. She doesn't change. Only my attitude towards her changes. Sometimes I say, I'm so busy, Mom, I don't have time to come to you. Sometimes I say, oh, Guy, if you'll only let me stay a little longer. So that's a pretty good, unchanging beginning. Good place to start. Are there other questions? Namaste, Rolf. No, absolutely not. In fact, sometimes I enjoy the austerities that I perform so much, I say, this isn't tapasya, give me something hard to do. But Rolf, that's not the criteria. The tapasya means that we are taking affirmative action. We're doing something planned, designed to bring about the cessation of my small egoistic attachments. I'm taking some affirmative action. I've got a sankalpa according to plan. That I'm going to do this action to demonstrate to you the sincerity of my love and the sincerity of my desire to reduce the amount of egotism that comes through this body. Please. It doesn't have to be painful.
Question from Nanda from San Jose.
Namaste, Nandama.
Namaste, Swami.
Nanda, I prefer to breathe with both nostrils because I find when I'm moving my fingers and touching my nose, then I am active and engaged and my attention is called to my gross body, which moves. But when I can fold my hands and breathe through both nostrils, and I can lose my sense of, I can lose the gross body more simply, and move into the subtle body with greater ease. And from the subtle body, I can move with greater ease into the causal body, and then into Turiya. So I prefer not to. However, in the cosmic puja, in the Samasti Upasana, there is a vidhi in Agumarshan for performing alternate nostril breathing. That would be an appropriate time when it says it in the text.
Rolf has another question on Pranayama.
Yes, Rolf?
Rolf is asking, how should one do Pranayama for long mantras, such as 32-syllable mantras? Is the 1:4:2 ratio still appropriate?
Not necessarily. If you're going to do a long mantra, you may want to make them equal. Or you may want to make your inhalation and your exhalation equal, and you can make recitation audibly on the exhalation. For example, Sarvapada Prashamanang Trilokyasya Kilesvadi Evame Pratyahara Gimaspadi Vinasanam. Sarvapada Prashamanang Trilokyasya Kilesvadi Evame Pratyahara Gimaspadi Vinasanam. That would be 4 mantras. 1 on the inhalation, Purak. 1 on the exhalation, Recha. No Kumbha. That would be a more appropriate style. However, if you're doing it in text, you may want to recite a few mantras at a time and take in your Bij mantra and retain it for as much as appropriate. If you're the same count of exhalation in your Rechak, then your Purak will be the same, your Kumbhak will be the same. You have entered Pranayama. You have a question, Gauri?
Swamiji, what happens if you find yourself falling asleep when you're doing
Remind yourself to wake up. Hey self, I find myself falling asleep and that's not my objective now. Would you please wake up? Try and adjust your asana to make it a little straighter. Try to pull your feet up and or push them down. Pull your knees down or farther apart. In some way, adjust your asana so that you have these are little tricks that you can find in order to wake yourself up. And continually recite along with the mantra, what a privilege this is to be able to sit here and do this. Thank you for the privilege. And you know, the days that it's the most difficult are the days that you achieve the greatest progress. When you overcome the lethargy of the body and the obstacles of the mind, that is when you've really shown yourself, I can do this. I got an email today, said somebody couldn't chant the Chandi with us on Sunday, and so they sat down and chanted it by themselves. And they got it done. And they were so ecstatic, so happy, so privileged to be able to have been able to complete the entire Chandi recitation in one asana. They didn't know they could do that by themselves. She overcame all of her resistances, and now she knows that she can do it. So she doesn't have any excuse not to do it now. Oh, I'm getting tired. Oh, I think I'm going to fall asleep. No way! We won't allow that. Exclude any attitude of selfishness. So that's the best way to stay awake.
Question from Usha from Canada.
Namaste, Ushama.
Swami, when you recommended not to close the nostril, did you mean just to visualize the Ida and Pingala with the inhalation and exhalation?
That would be a fine way to do it, or you can just visualize the goddess and go beyond the Ira and the Pingala. Just stay with her. These are primary, they are telling us all the steps that we're going to encounter in our practice, and then we'll settle into our practice. So from the beginning, in the primary stages, yes, close the nostril. And then in the more advanced stages, we'll just breathe and we won't have to think about it. Try them both, Usha. They'll both work for you. And they'll train you to be your own yogini. You'll be a yogini in your own right because you feel what is appropriate sadhana for you. We're reading a scriptural dissertation on what is appropriate sadhana for everybody. Now, our job as individual sadhaks and sadhikas is to find what works for me. Of all this smorgasbord of techniques that they're giving us, all these, this whole kitchery that's laid out before us, we get to pick and choose. Or we can do it all. And after we've done it all for a while, we'll find that we don't have time to do it all. I've got to make some selections. To which practices do I naturally gravitate? Which are appropriate for me? Which ones fill me with the greatest sense of accomplishment, of attainment, of unity, of completion, of fulfillment? Om Sang Saraswati Namaha. Namaste.